Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload, as you could tell by the title of this video, we'll be discussing the pattern and what we could expect in the coming weeks. You know, possibly some cooler air. And as you could tell by the thumbnail, it looks pretty darn chilly across a good portion of the United States. The first true taste of fall, even possibly late fall temperatures, may briefly come and visit portions of the United States. So definitely some weather is on its way, and it's going to be a much needed relief for a good portion of the United States, as it's been just unbearably hot. But welcome to this channel. I talk about the weather. I am just a weather enthusiast. I'm not a meteorologist. For official info, don't go to my channel. This is just if you want to get a little brief update about the forecast, or you just want to geek out with me, come on and join this channel. Obviously, you don't have to. It's completely optional. It's free. If you enjoy this video, however, consider liking. That does help out. So let's get into the video. So right now we're looking at the GFS Global Forecasting System, and the GFS really has been actually doing a pretty good job lately. It's been showing, usually the GFS is all over the place, kind of like me, you know, but it's been actually getting its act together, and it's rivaling the European in terms of consistency. But obviously, you know, they're two different models. People have different opinions about them. Let's just show you the forecast. So first off, I want to talk about the temperatures more in this video, but I want to show you that the reason as to why these temperatures will be so adamant about coming down into the United States, if you will, there's going to be large storms, and there's going to be several of them. Notice we have one already up in northern Canada, reaching down with a cold front to southern United States, literally as far south as Mexico-Texas border. And then we see several of these smaller little clipper-like storms in September. Definitely an interesting feature. Obviously, it's not an Alberta clipper, but it's a similar development path, and that's really not any foreshadowing of what's to come. Let's not get too excited. But what this does is you can see that behind these little systems, they're not really big, but they are powerful. They are small but powerful. And notice it just brings down this cool air. The 540 line is always referred to as like the 32-degree line. It's not going to get 32 degrees all the way into central Wisconsin. Maybe, you know, 40s, I would not be surprised. But you can see these kind of storms continue going for a very long time, and we see these dips in a jet stream continuing. Now notice, as we get towards the mid-half of September, things look things look as if they could extremely warm up. And again, if you've been kind of following along this channel, you've been, you should be aware that and if you aren't, I'll tell you right now that I think this fall will be a rather warm and beautiful fall. That's my prediction. You know, oftentimes people like seeing a cold fall. I honestly would prefer a warm fall, and I think that's what's going to happen this year. Now, just because I think that's going to happen doesn't mean it will. So, you know, I for sure may be wrong, and I wholeheartedly accept that. Let's look at the 2-meter temperature anomalies now, so you guys could actually see the colors. I was just showing you the precipitation map, which is a little bit tough to see, especially when I'm jumping all over the map. I know people have been complaining that I jump all over the map. I do apologize. I haven't a bit here and there all over the place, but I will try to speak slower and definitely say more dates as we go on. So yeah, if you guys have any critique about my channel, that's not too harsh, won't hurt my feelings. If you have any critique, just consider leaving a comment down below, as you know, I read all comments. So notice this is what we are in right now. This is Monday, so you're watching this video most likely on Monday, Tuesday, depends really. It will be uploaded on Monday, and notice that we have a large cool down across the northern United States. And while this looks pretty you know, ominous, and it looks as if it's well on its way into the southeastern United States, it really just gets halted. We see a lot of these blue temperatures. They're still there, right? But they're just not in such an organized manner. And we see actually warm temperatures are just basically pretty much even with the cool temperatures. So what we wait for is another storm system to pass through, and by the end of this week, this week, so Thursday, Friday, we see a pretty nice cool down. And now this one is not the big pattern change one. It definitely could still be coined a pattern change, as you know, the term pattern change isn't really a specific definition. It's whenever the pattern changes, hence the name. And you can see that this one really doesn't have, the anomalies aren't big. It's really the bigger concern is going to be the west. Okay, you can see that the west looks, 10 to 15 to 20 degrees above average in terms of Fahrenheit and Celsius on this map, and that could really just be bringing a lot of heat. And that looks pretty consistent with the model. It's pretty much as consistent as a cooler area in the eastern United States. So after several storms this upcoming week, we see a cool down into the weekend. You can see Saturday, Sunday, but really a big, massive, like the one that most people will be talking about is actually this one right here. You can see it comes down late Sunday and into Monday. Obviously, the details still have to be worked out, but you can see some pretty stark anomalies. We are looking at places 10 to 15 to 20 degrees below average. But I don't want to ignore the West. I mean, look at California, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Utah. They are just sweltering, and you can see that these anomalies right here. If I had a pointer to curse over this and actually show you that, look, that's in the 16 to 20 degrees Celsius anomaly range, and that's just very, 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 very warm. So let's take a look at this and show you what the 2-meter temperature shaded looks like. Now you may look at this and see, oh, it's not that warm. I would love an 80 in my location, but these folks up here really don't often see such warm temperatures at this time of the year, and there's a lot of mountains here, so in the valleys it'll be scorching, but even in the higher elevations it'll be warm. But notice it's very cool across the central and midwestern United States. We see 40s, 50s easily, and then we also notice we definitely could be seeing some first frost across Minnesota, Wisconsin, UP of Michigan. Now this won't most likely be a killer frost that kills your carrots and all your crops. It may a bit if your area is the hardest hit, it may kind of burn your tomato leaves or potato leaves, as those are usually the most sensitive crops. But it definitely shouldn't be an end to the growing season. At least it looks like that at this point. But that would be a very interesting if it were to be a very widespread frost. At this point, it doesn't look like it, but definitely still an anomaly to see frost even across northern Minnesota in early September. It's not unheard of. It's not a record breaker, but it's definitely just something that is a bit unpleasant, if you will, especially for those that are in the gardens, growing gardens. I'm saying that because I have a garden, and if that happened to me, I would be a bit bummed. Notice that this continues spreading into the southeast. This isn't one of these waves that kind of peters out across the central United States. It moves well into the southeastern United States, and this is occurring into really a week from right around now. So yes, that is still far out, but these signals from these models have been just so consistent that we just can't ignore them, and we have to basically take them into consideration at this point and start talking about it. I'll show you what the Climate Prediction Center is showing, and it's basically all just holding itself together. Everyone's on the same page pretty much. Notice the anomalies. As these anomalies get deeper, so do the heat in the west. And gosh, I mean, I really just, the last time I saw such anomalies was, I think, in June across James Bay. I mean, look at that, 113, 117. This is already fall, a meteorological fall. And to see 90s, almost 90 in Seattle is definitely uncalled for, to say the least. And you can see this is the daytime highs, supposedly, according to the GFS on September 7th. We just see lots of cool weather. This is the nighttime. We definitely see frost across the mountain, plenty of frost across the southern Canadian plains. And then this continues. It really continues. The heat may back down a bit across the west as we kind of start breaking this pattern. And hopefully we do break this pattern, since despite it being a relief for the United States, the cool weather, it's just a bit too cool, for my preference at least. Obviously, I can't speak for everyone, but as a gardener, this is just too cold. And as soon as it looks as if it's going to fall apart, we see the anomalies just even more intensified. We see lots of cool weather. And you can see this thing basically sticks around from anywhere around the 6th of September. Really, the 6th, Sunday, it starts marching in. All the way up until Sunday of the following week. We start seeing this dwindle down. And we start seeing that pattern officially break down. And that's just good news because the west will see cooler temperatures. And let me show you, just for a comparison to what the west would normally see at this time of the year. You can see 50s, 40s, and they could be seeing 90s and 100s across that period of heat this upcoming week. So, just very, very unpleasant to say the least. And if we put this forward, you can see more heat returns, and that seems to be the trend as more heat comes in through September and October. Like I mentioned, it does look like fall will be a rather warm month, but, a taste of fall is definitely on its way. Let's look at the European model quickly. The European model hasn't come in as of the latest model run, but I'll show you up to hour 180 and I'll flip to the older model run. This has just been so consistent. You could pretty much blend all the models together and you'll get the same story. So notice we see the European is also a bit more mixed out than the GFS. It has a bit of heat across this week and some cool air across certain days and across certain regions, but really, again, keeps off that cool wave of weather up until this upcoming weekend. Notice it does have a cool wave across Thursday and Friday. This is really just going to bring temperatures closer to normal and a bit cooler, but that's also when we start seeing the heat building across the west, and the models are in agreement about that. You could see just here right there, that's 39 degrees above average. That's just ridiculous. And notice as we push this forward into time, we see the cool air gathered up to the north. And this is as far as this model run goes. Let's go back to the one 12 hours ago. And, the same story. Basically a intermixtion, can't say that word. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Basically a mix of warm temperatures and cool temperatures. You'll have to look at your forecast for the specific details, since you could just look at this map, but this is just one model. And notice the heat across the west is building, but also at that time the cool weather comes in and it kind of sandwiches the heat off to the west, and that really builds it and really intensifies it. While you could see in the mountains, we could be looking at 45 degrees below average. So definitely first frost and possibly some first snow is on the way for the mountains. I actually want to look at the first snowfall. I haven't looked at that in a while. I did look at it a couple days ago. But yeah, you could see across the mountains, definitely a chance of snow for sure. Even several inches. And it is early for sure, but not an indicator of what's to come. So, quickly looking at the Climate Prediction Center 8 to 14 day outlook, September 7th through the 13th, 2020. So this is around the time where this cool, massive air will come through. You could see the Climate Prediction Center is pretty darn confident about it, 70% chance or higher. But again, they do include the heat across the west. The biggest uncertain zone is probably the East Coast, as this cool-off will most likely make it to the southern states, so that's good news. But really, the East Coast may be on the fringe of this. Hopefully, they do get a little bit of this, but sometimes these ridges, these troughs break down by the time they move into the East Coast. And not oftentimes, but that's what we've been seeing this summer in particular. And precipitation-wise, you can see it's a bit drier, and that's what usually happens when we have a large cool down. We see a drier period, a bit wetter across the east where the cool weather may not be as prevalent. And the 6 to 10 day outlook, which is a bit shorter out, not as far out, from the 5th through the 9th, definitely showing indications of cool weather, but also, again, the heat. And the southeast may be in on some of that heat as well, but we'll have to see based on how this unfolds. And if you were to look at the precipitation outlook, you can see it's wetter, as this is still kind of that transition period between the wet pattern and then the dry pattern with the cool air. So that's basically it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.